Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 1 versus 1 on Orsha East, and I'm going to be playing with the 1st Polish Infantry and the Maverick deployment type on the red side. And on the blue side we have CK530, who's going to be using the 5th Kalwaria Motorizata and the balanced deployment type. So this is game 2 of 2 games played in the group stage of Division 3 of the Steel Division 2 League. And if you missed the first one, I would definitely recommend going and checking it out. It was an awesome game, but also if you don't want spoilers, I would watch that first. So I'll give you just a second to go into the description, click the link to the first game. With all that said, I lost the first game. So what that meant was at this point, going into this game, I am 0-3 in the Steel Division League, which is not a place I want to be. I had high hopes going into the Division 3 that I would do relatively well, like I was quite confident. I wasn't necessarily like overly confident, but I thought I would have a good chance, at least to take a game off attack power, and I didn't. And then I'm up against CK and I've already lost one, so I'm thinking, am I going to end up 0-6 in the Steel Division League? Like, that would be really embarrassing. And also it's kind of sad because a lot of people were riding on me winning, especially with like fantasy picks and stuff. So I kind of felt a lot of weight on my shoulders. There was a lot of expectation going into the league, and ultimately I was super nervous going into every game. Now it's game 4 and I'm kind of having to prove myself in order to, stay in the Division 3. Like, if I go down to Division 4, I'd just be, like, so upset. So, yeah, there's a lot on my mind going into this. I'm also super tired because I'm working my ass off making videos so that I can go on holiday the following week, which I will be on if you are watching this. And, yeah, like, it was a really odd position to be in. Anyway, it's been a while since I played competitive. I used to play League of Legends kind of competitively, and I also just used to play Call of Duty competitively when I was really young. But yeah, since then I hadn't played competitively in a long time, and the buzz it gives you is actually amazing though. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I do enjoy it and I do kind of miss it, so that's one thing, and I have been enjoying myself, but ultimately incredibly nervous and very tired going into this one. Let's have a look at what I'm getting down. So on this top side, my plan was to get an AT gun up here with a infantry gun. There's also going to be a machine gun that's going to be moving into this building just to hold my flag, and a offensive PTRS that's going to be moving up on that road to kill enemy transports. I've got a PTRS here that's going to be zooming up to this crossroads in order to, again, get more transport snipes. I've also got another machine gun there that's going to be going into cover down here to spray these buildings. I've also got a T-34 moving that way and a Sturm because I was hoping to offensively push this flag. In the middle, I've got another 2 PTRS squads. They're going to be moving up in order to snipe on the road. I've got the Su-57 there that's going to be able to cover the road as well, plus 2 Streltsy LKM supposedly Rock. I've also got a Desant in the M3A1 half-track and a machine gun with a leader. So the machine gun's going to be sitting here and firing across to here, whilst the rest of the infantry kind of just like plays around in the middle. Also the Supposedly Rocks was going to head into this flag in order to hold that for me. On the bottom side, double PTRS, Supposedly Rocks, and the Streltsy with the leader and the Zviadkoni. The Zviadkoni is a really nice infantry squad. It's only 25 points. Recon has an MG42. Really good. So yeah, my overall plan was to take this flag, and this flag in order to get a 15-9. I am playing Maverick, which means, again, I'm kind of on a time limit. I want to win the game between like the 25-minute to 30-minute mark. Obviously, if I win sooner, that's great. But if it gets past 30 minutes, it's going to end up very much like the last game, where I'm going to get overwhelmed eventually. So I'm sitting here really hoping that I can push this bottom side with the infantry that I placed here, push the middle early on, and then kind of try and wiggle my way into the top side. Generally, people don't defend this too much from any replay that I've watched, so that's kind of what I was counting on up against CK530, using a little bit of my league knowledge. I did also bring out a PO2 at the start here, and he's going to be bringing in this IAR off-map plane, so 152 mil off-map cheese at the start of the game. I'm going to be bringing in my Yak 1B immediately to try and shoot that down so that he can't get any future strikes with it. If it gets away, it means he's probably going to get at least another strike off. So here we go. Yak comes in, and well, would you look at that? He gets out. So I'm kind of like, oh, that sucks at this point. But my PTRS are in position. I pulled the Streltsy off the road. He could have put this anywhere down here. So I was kind of just like, I'm going to wait and see where it falls, and then I'm going to bring up my infantry afterwards. Because he's not going to push through the town whilst his off-map's there. And honestly, I managed to kill one of his Rosciade before they unloaded anyway. So I was pretty happy with that. Double PTRS at the bottom side. Not doing too well. I should have smoked them off and retreated them, but I was busy focusing on the top side where I'm now unloading and engaging the Rosciade there. So going to be moving the Streltsy back into the building. T-34 is going to come up and support that. Yak 1's still floating about, holding the skies, and the PO is just going backwards and forwards looking for enemy targets. So my Maxim is getting the better of the Schwaloser. I'm also going to be strafing that to give myself even more of an advantage. I realised that also that this was barrage, because all of the artillery didn't come down at once, and you can see it's still going off, so I'm just kind of waiting at the moment to move my Streltsy back in there, but just going to decide to move them up and unload them early, and I'm going to get my leader back towards the town now. So I didn't really lose too much to that initial off-map. Only one of my PTRS squads died, and I'm going to time the push with the descents here in order to get close to the Rosciade there. On the top, things are going relatively well. Streltsy moving forwards with the help of the T-34-76, and T-34-76 currently dealing with the AT rifle there. On this bottom side though, things are a little precarious because of these ABU Ussors. So he's brought in a bunch of these Rosciade on the bottom side with his leader there, and basically I had to fall back because the Rosciade at like mid-range with the double Carabiner here with the ZBs are actually really good, and then if you're fighting at 150 meter range, the Rosciade do so much damage, so I have to be super careful. I do, however, have Streltsy and Sviatkone, so in this case, when I'm able to like 2v1, I can still trade quite well. So that's what I was trying to do, basically trade with the infantry whilst remaining out of line of sight with the 20 mils. Super important. Here, the descents not having a fun time, but my Streltsy going to be able to finish off the Rosciade. That one's going to get surrendered, my tanker's there basically, and well, we trade basically 1 for 1 in that push. I brought up a couple of these T-34 recons. The reason I brought the recon variants is so that I can see the stuff in the edge of the tree lines as I'm moving up, and also so that I can, you know, engage these ABU Ussors. I can see them in good time. And again, as soon as the AT rifles fires, you know, T-34 spot it, so I'm able to take that out. And also Streltsy here have moved down, and I've managed to take out the Rosciade squad. Going to be able to push on the Pushka Anticar, and now the Lunatis there. So Su-57 going to be moving up onto the top. I did kill the AB Ussor that was harassing my infantry here, and I'm also going to be able to use this Su-57 to finish off the AB Horch in the open. And this is kind of how I expected attack power to play the 5th Kalwaria Motorizzata with all of these light vehicles, so I was kind of prepared for it. Anyway, Schwalo's on this top side does get shot. I was thinking that that might be like an AT gun or something, but it turns out it wasn't. So that was okay. Lunatis does snipe my transport, so it forces my Streltsy to unload early. Now I'm going to be just running them up, but the Starkey SVT with the PPS is easy done. It's nice that I've got 2-star vet on all of these. Like, I'm pretty sure all of my infantry in this division is 1 vet at least, so yeah, that was good. Anyway, Panzerschreck's going to get the better of one of my T-34s. The second one, I realised a bit too late, as you can see, giving that the reverse order. Like, get out of there. Both my T-34s go down in no time at all to the Panzerschreck. I swear, Panzerschrecks are the bane of my life in Tsel Division 2 competitive. Like, they really, really are. Nice bombing strike by the IL-2, though. And so it begins. This is the ultimate strategy of the 1st Polish, is to use your strong infantry medium armor combination with your decent air force, your IL-2s. And he didn't have any AA up yet, so really taking advantage of that. IAR is going to be coming in with the off-map strike. You can see that he's microing that, so it flies past the Yak, and therefore I can't kill it in one run. So what I'm going to end up doing is, technically I could have shot it there, but I'm going to do a double loop so that I come round on its back. He's going to be dropping the off-map on the bottom side in the meantime, and, well, kind of my fault that I didn't kill it on the first loop. So he is going to get that off map down. I didn't realize that he had, well, I kind of realized that he placed it on the bottom side because of the way that he flew. So, like, I knew it was likely it was going to be here. So I kind of just focused elsewhere in the meantime. You can see I'm pushing forward to stealthy here now. I did manage to secure this flag, so that's a good win for me, sitting at the 13 to 11. But of course, I need 15 to 9. It's so important when you consider the Maverick balanced engagement. It's unreal. So, moving the Sapersian here. They should have already been in the town, but I got a bit lazy on the micro there. Streltsy moving up, going to be able to find and kill that AT rifle, so that was good. And here comes the off map on the bottom side. That's going to be hitting me relatively hard. But honestly, it's kind of lucky with the placement. Like, most of the off map kind of went around my infantry here and not directly on it. So I barely lost any men. I think it was only my leader that like lost a man, and maybe the Streltsy unit. Meanwhile, Yak was coming in for the engagement with the Pack 45. My Streltsy managed to kind of mow most of those down. There was a nice little micro here that actually, I should have pointed that out. Basically, I was in a building, he fired his flamer as I fired my flamer, but I dodged his flamer and he didn't dodge mine. So I managed to get the double pin from the flamer onto his infantry without getting hit by his flamer once. So I managed to keep my Superchier at 12 health, whilst his Pioneer Assault, which is a very good unit, didn't get any damage off. Anyway, double 25mm now going to be in the middle of the map for CK530, which is going to prevent me from basically using more of those IL-2 bombers. And unfortunately my Yak does get shot down by that because I realised a bit too late that he'd bring those in. It was really smart of him to kind of like move it as far up as he could, because that was obviously just circling, and he put it right in the middle, and then my Yak doesn't have time to run away from that. So 45mm guns have joined me on the bottom side. And I'm going to be making a push here with all these Streltsy. The reason I brought these Streltsy is because I have them in like M2 half tracks, and what that means is I can get them close without them being force unloaded by machine guns. So I'm already close enough here to use all these SVTs, and the SVTs can really chunk these units. Now one of my 45s does go down, but I'm going to be using the second one here to try and engage the Horch. I have turned off APCR in order to try and get the damage off, but it ends up being my Streltsy that kill one of them with the Panzerfaust. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. This infantry gun doing a fine job of hitting these machine guns, though. That's really good. And yeah, just focusing very much on this bottom push at the time being. Managed to catch out the AT gun there, which was really nice. More longer range infantry coming in, which are good for like this light engagement, is really nice. Kill the leader as well, find that. Pioneer Assault, not so great. At close range, they're going to melt my infantry. And you see the Streltsy SVT, they're going down very fast. So I'm going to bring in the IL-2 to try and bomb that. There's no AA on the bottom side that I know of. So IL-2 with the bombing strike kills the Pioneer Assault. And I'm going to be going for the Rush Yard that I can see further back. Also managed to get the Panzerfaust onto the AB Usor. So things are starting to go well on the bottom side. My Streltsy are pushing up here. We got a quite concentrated push. Triple Streltsy, 2-star vet with my 2 vet T-34s as well. So two-pronged attack. Attack into here. Attack into the center. And yeah, I'm relatively happy with where I am at the moment in terms of my positioning currently, because if I take this flag and then I take this flag with this flag, then, you know, it's 15 to 9. But I didn't actually notice that he took this until afterwards. So I'm here strafing the Roshari. I'm using the cluster plane to take out the AB Horch. And yeah, all the flags secured on the bottom side, basically. Here, though, T-34, one of them gets taken out by the AT gun. The second one's going to be able to trade with the Lukes, which is good. And now CK is going to be moving up with his Panzerschreck. He doesn't have line of sight with the Panzerschreck just yet, but he's going to be jumping that forwards and getting the shot off, so the T-34 goes down. Now I'm in not such a good position. I did briefly capture that flag, and I've also, because of taking out the Maxims, or the Svalos here with the infantry gun, I've also managed to get this flag, so that's good. He has brought in a 25mm on the bottom side. That's going to be shooting my IL-2 here. And the reason that these were just hovering about was because I was using them to strafe. But in this case, IL-2 going to be brushing off a lot of that 25mm fire. And that's just the beauty of the IL-2 right there. Any other plane, and that would have been shot down. So kind of just chilling. He has managed to bring up a couple of Panzer II looks here on the bottom side. I don't really have anything to counter that, so going to be bringing the T-34 to engage it. SU-57 does spot the Reshid Tsar here and pops its last HE shells into it. Unfortunately, I didn't really notice the Reshid Tsar, so it's going to be free firing on my SU-57. I'm going to try and get it out of line of sight, but it's too late. Reshid Tsar going to really do a number on me once again. Streltsy going to be finding a 45mm, but the 45mm, since my Streltsy is out in the open, ends up actually pinning it down. Obviously not ideal, but this gun is going to be starting to fire at the looks, and I also managed to use the Streltsy here. I kept jumping in and out of this building to kill the AT gun, and I'm also going to be able to get the machine gun to, you know, keep chunking the Roscioli here. I'm going to be slowly taking them out whilst avoiding the aim time of the Panzer II looks. So you can see it's aiming. As soon as it gets close to firing, I jump it out, jump back in, it resets the aim time, and I'm just constantly doing that in order to get my PTRD reloaded and shoot the looks, whilst also getting machine gun fire onto the Roscioli. Unfortunately, the Roscioli just wasn't wanting to die. Streltsy LKM, though, do manage to take out the transport with the PTRD. That was really good. And now I'm doing double IL-2 to the center. I figured that having two of them would be enough to get past this AA. I don't think I realized throughout the game that this was actually 2 AA. I thought it was just 1. But either way, this IL-2 is diving nice and low, so it's going to be harder for them to see it. The bombs went off in good positions, but there was just nothing there. So in the end, a pretty much wasted bombing strike. Meanwhile, on the top side, looking to find the Panzer II looks that have been hiding up here that I spotted before. So that one's going to fire. My T-34's going to be able to engage it and take it out. That was really good. I think CK530 wanted to like double team it, which would have worked, but didn't quite manage to. And meanwhile, PTRD finally kills the looks in the middle. T-34 coming up this road, plus the AT gun here, did force back CK's Panzer II looks. But we're currently sitting on a 15-9, which is nice. I've got this flag, I've got this flag, and I've got this top flag. And since basically I was in a pretty good position here, I decided to reinforce this massively with close range infantry, so I could just be an absolute nuisance. I could take this flag, I could take this flag and just hold on to the trees in between, and then he wouldn't really be able to put much effort on, not much effort, but like much pressure onto the flags. So IL-2 takes out the Roscioli, makes her Sapogé in a really good position. Double IL-2 again to the mid to try and dislodge whatever's left in these buildings, so that I can then push in there. And on the bottom side, well, I've lost position here because the Pianelli Kalari come in and start chewing up my Streltsy at range that just can't really compete. Reshid Tsar does get into a really cheeky position up on this hill. I managed to unload my Sapogé there, and we're going to bring in the IL-2 to try and bomb that. Meanwhile up here, Panzer II looks constantly being fired on by my PTRD. And I'm going to get my IL-2 that bombed before to come back and strafe the 45, so that was really good as well. Now these Roscioli do get the better of one of my infantry, but spotting the Roscioli in there is good for me because I can just put the Sapogé rocks in there and take them out. Pretty easy. They actually end up jumping out the building in front of me, so job done very quickly, and that's another flag. And again, we're sitting at the 15-9. So at this point, I'm pretty confident in the game. I'm starting to build up the IL-2s. I'm assuming that if I keep buying them, I can eventually just overwhelm the 25mm. In this case, second bombing strike to try and kill the Reshid Tsar does do so. So that was good. It did take 2, but got the job done eventually. And up here, Roscioli going to be winning an engagement against... Oh, sorry, Sapogé winning engagement against Roscioli. So I'm now kind of just waiting to get a few more infantry up here. I've got this close range infantry, I've got this close range infantry on the way, the descents. Nice little play from CK, does spot my Streltsy moving up the hill. I'm going to be absolutely chewing those. But the other thing I want to do is obviously take back this area. I did have a really nice push here originally, so that was fine. But I just need reinforcements at this point, and we're in phase B, so I've got plenty of reinforcements up my sleeve. We've got 170 income per minute, and I'm going to be bringing in a couple of SU-76s on the top side to challenge the Stug, and then I've got the T-34 here. It's going to be coming up in the mid to just provide fire support for my infantry as I push forwards. And I've got my PO2 coming forwards as well. These little recon aircraft, if they get fired on by AA, they just go down so quickly. But if you keep them back a little bit, they can still provide recon information without actually exposing themselves to AA. Now 45mm is going to fire at the Stug. Unfortunately bounced off the side armor, which is unfortunate. There's like probably like a 45%, 50% chance on the side armor with a normal AP shell. And I then ended up turning on the APCR so that I could actually penetrate that in the future. But that unit got chewed up by the Hotchkiss, so I had to fall it back. But since, you know, CK is now reinforcing the top side, I'm reinforcing the mid and the bot. This T-34 did kill one of the Panzer II Lux, but now gets forced back. I did have my Streltsy run over to the T-34 to make sure it didn't surrender. Because if you have another unit nearby and you keep the front line over your retreating unit, it doesn't surrender, just like if you had a leader nearby. Unfortunately, Streltsy kind of pay for that, but I'd rather keep the T-34 alive in this case. And my Sapage also going to be taking a lot of damage from the Rochelle. Should have fallen those back, but was likely concentrating elsewhere. Particularly on this top side, where I'm looking to get some transport snipes onto this infantry, but my my 45 AT gun just not really aiming in time. So that infantry did die down here. The M3A1 able to stop the Rochelle from making any more ground, and I moved my Desserts back so that if he decides to come forwards, I can then, you know, go and engage them. Now that the T-34 is recovered, it's actually still got its reverse command towards the Lux, which is obviously not good. That's going to be moving in that direction. And it's funny because I don't think that CK noticed. If he had noticed, he'd probably just shot me up the ass and I would have lost the T-34. But I cancelled the order, and my T-34 is going to be safe for the time being. I actually didn't realise I did that during the game. Just a bit of a misclick on the keyboard, I guess. Anyway, 5 Streltsy with 2 Star Veterancy. Now pushing again in the centre. I noticed the Kalwaria on the bottom side and the Stug here. So I basically choose to just send all my Streltsy to the top side of that town instead, so that I can engage the Maxim or Straloza and then the infantry from that direction, rather than having to deal with the Stug. Our T-34 is going to move up, kill off the second Panzer II, and now I'm in an okay position. Hotchkiss is going to see and kill my Streltsy up on the ridge. I was kind of being cheeky there. There was only 1 man left, so what I did was return fire it and put it into position so that I could see what reinforcements are coming in. But now I've got triple Sapage in here, so I'm hoping to be able to get the HE off, but not going to work. The Pionieri Assault, they have like the 2 flamers. I think this one maybe threw the grenade, but either way it does end up dying. I've also got my M3A1 just like harassing the Rochelle on the top side, just trying to stay out of line of sight of the Stug the whole time. Now I've got a second T-34. I was waiting for the second T-34 so that I can engage the Stug at the same time. So you can see the first one's going to engage. I'm going to try and move up the second one because it didn't quite have line of sight for whatever reason. I'm just moving it. You see I'm manually moving it, trying to get into line of sight at the same time so we can trade. I would quite happily trade 1 T-34 for a Stug, but I don't need to trade in the end, so that's fine. Now multiple IL-2s coming in on the bottom side, looking for the bombing strikes. Going to be able to kill the Pionieri Clari, finish off all of the rest. Sorry, pin down the rest, and they were forced to fall back, and then Sapage are going to be moving forwards to secure that. And we did just hit the 20-minute mark, and I'm not at a 15-9, but I am in a considerably better position than I was in the previous game. And the other thing is, I'm kind of like I've still got some of my income to work with. Like, you can see that I start bringing in reinforcements here. So I've got the Streltsy coming in, I've got the Sapagé, and then I've got a T-34, a couple extra infantry for the mid. And I'm going to be just trying to secure these flags so I can sit on a 15-9 for as long as possible. But with the Stug going down in the mid, he's brought up a couple of these AT guns to try and counter me. I do spot it with the M3A1 at close range. Going to be able to Molotov the Rosciari out of line of sight, which is pretty nice. And then I'm going to dodge the flames from the Pioneers. We're going to kill the AB Horch. I'm going to move forwards with the T-34s in order to pin down the Rosciari and then the Pioneer Assault. Like, I'm actually not going to have to worry about that at all, so that's great. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Sapagé move forwards, get into position here, which is really nice. And that's basically going to be able to kill both the Rosciari. I did build my deck, the first Polish infantry, with like double Sapagé card in phase B, so I have a lot of them. It allows me to really dominate the close range engagements over time. Yeah, I managed to surrender that, and now my infantry is pretty much free to kill the AT guns on the top side, so my T-34s are safe on the bottom side. Unfortunately, Sapagé still goes down here. The Rosciari do get the better of it. But one thing on this top side that's happening is I'm trying to engage the Stug, but I can't quite get both of them online at line of sight at the same time. So basically what I end up trying to do is use the Su-76 to kill the AA, so that I can freely bomb the top side. So I'm just trying to like keep reversing that, so I remain in line of sight of the AA, whilst not being in line of sight of the Stug. Stug does take a side shot for moving forwards like that, but I don't end up killing the 25, so I lost both of those for no reason. Still bringing the IL-2 anyway, but you can see that the plan didn't happen, so the IL-2 is going to be forced away. But I have more IL-2s, so here comes the IL-2 train on the top side. I've got this one forwards on its own. It's going to be taking the shots for me. I give the orders to the rest. 2 onto the Stug to kill the armor, 1 onto the Rosciari, 1 onto the actual unit itself. And you can see that it's a pretty nice bombing strike. The Stug's pinned down. It should have really died, but it's just pinned down. It's falling back. It should fall back in line of sight of the 45. I'm actually going to end up attack moving the 45 forwards to make sure that that happens. And yeah, pretty good position for me there. Meanwhile, in the mid, I managed to kill most of the stuff that's coming up the ridge. I'm in a really strong position here. Pushing back up the hill for him is really difficult to do. And I placed my T-34s in the edge of these buildings in the light cover so that the Stug doesn't have line of sight when it comes up. And that way, we just are able to kill it as soon as it comes up. And at this range, easy penetration. There we go. So Stug down. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, 45mm is really trying to do its best. Doesn't even get the penetration with the APCR, so that wasn't ideal, but I'm currently 17-7. Yes, guys, it's happening. 17-7. Still all to play for, though. IL-2 coming in for the strike onto the Stug there. Nice quick kill. Takes out another Stug. I took out the Stug on the top side finally. I'm going to be able to use the M3A1 to try and surrender the Pionieri Calare. That's going to give me another flag. We're going to be sitting at 18-6. We now have the triple tick. And we win the game in 2 minutes and 25 seconds if I can hold on to these flags. I am bleeding him like crazy right now. And he does have his 155 income in phase C, but we've traded extremely well throughout this game, so we are well ahead in kills, and it's going to take him a little while to catch up. Since it is at like the 25-26 minute mark that he will have had the same income as me. So technically, like, I still have 1 minute of advantage, and I'm on 18-6 in flags. So this is looking really, really good for me right now. There is an SDK of the 7-1 now on the top side, which are very deadly at the moment. But I'm going to be hitting the bottom side with the IL-2s. And now, bear in mind, this one isn't even damaged like the top side one was. 250 kilogram bombs on each of these. Job done. Stug's dead. How that Stug on the top side survived, I have no idea. Anyway, doesn't matter because I managed to kill it regardless. This 25mm has actually run out of ammo completely. So that's why it wasn't firing there. A BF-109 G4 R6 coming in. Yak 1 gets on its tail for a little bit. IL-2 though also gets on its tail. Almost shoots it down, but not quite. Now it's just a matter of sealing the deal. So I'm on the edge of the hill here. I'm engaging the Stug further back. And we do manage to take it out. So that was really good. I just like saw it, I managed to get a side shot on it, I think, or something, and then I just like committed to the engagement. Anyway, with the 25mm dead, there's only a Kalwaria here, so I get 2 flags for free on the bottom side with 20 to 4. And I think this is when CK530 called GG, because it was basically over at this point. And there we go, major victory after 26 minutes and 12 seconds. So yeah, finally, I get a win. And I tell you what, I was happy, but I was more relieved than anything else. I was like, if I don't win a game in this season of the Steel Division League, like I'm just gonna feel so bad. Like, again, the expectation on my shoulders is like crazy from everyone. Everyone's expecting me to do really well, and I never really played 1v1 because I never had any experience in 1v1, and like it's been proven, right? I've kind of like proved what I always used to say on stream when people used to ask me, why don't you play 1v1? It's like, well, it's a different game. Like, the decks are different, the maps are different, like everything about the picks and bans, like it's just, there's a lot more to it. And I kind of knew that going in, but still, yeah, my confidence was broken down after the first 3 games. And maybe that's what it took, you know? I wasn't confident anymore, so I was kind of like playing with a more open mind, I suppose. I don't know. I think the other thing is I landed the first Polish, which is quite a comfy division for me. It's normally banned, but somehow it got through bans. And I noticed it had got through bans, so I decided to pick it. And on a map like this, it does play very well with the armor infantry engagement plus the aircraft. So yeah, it all came together finally for a major victory with the Maverick deployment type. One thing I will say is I'm probably going to be stepping away from using Maverick because it gives you that time limit and pressure that I just can't deal with right now. Like I'm so nervous in these games, and putting myself even under more pressure is just it's rough. It's rough. But it can work out, I suppose. At least I know that I can win with Maverick. But again, it's another thing that I'm just not used to playing with. The deployment types are different, right? We never play Maverick in team games. You just never play Maverick in team games. Ever. Like, you might play Vanguard, but you would never play Maverick. I mean, no one plays Vanguard anymore since it got nerfed, but anyway, you guys kind of get the point, I hope. It's been a rough few games, but we finally got a victory in the Steel Division League, so I'm more hopeful that at least I'm not going to get demoted. We'll have to see if I can still make it to playoffs. I'm probably going to have to try and defeat Theoman, who's next, 2-0, in order to even have a shot at getting to playoffs. It's going to really come down to if CK530 ties or loses against Theoman. Because if he ties against Theoman, then I will have a play, probably like a second place game against him again. So I'll be playing CK530 again. If he loses to Theoman, I would be in the top 2 of the group still. Assuming that I beat Theoman, which again is something that's completely up in the air right now. I have no idea how I'm going to do. And I know that Theoman is a veteran of the Steel Division 2 League, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. We'll see how we get on. That's it for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like on these, because it's tearing me apart inside sometimes, like just in terms of like nerves. Like I'm super tired, like I'm working super hard to get this out for you guys. Yeah, so I just appreciate all the love. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.